Hey, how's it going? So what I got for you today is my last live loop turned into a final production track. This one turned out really great, I think. It's kind of special to me, but we'll talk about it afterwards. Let's take a listen first. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and drop a comment below. Love to know your thoughts. Here we go.
Me softly, breathing where my heart had been, guiding back to a doorway, to a home I'd lost, toward the place I've always been. The wind calls in despair, carrying voices of my friend, leading me through the silent fog to the home that I once knew. Across the rivers where my dreams are kept, where I can remember me, where I can remember you. Drifting fireflies guide me to a meadow full of stories. I sit and listen and wonder of a time that sleeps, of a time hidden in the shadows. Myself floating in the fog that hugs me close, never scared, but feeling wonder once again, feeling close to you, my friend. Across the rivers where my dreams are kept, where I can remember me, where I can remember you. Call away through the old willow trees. Across the rivers where my dreams are kept, where I can remember me, where I can remember you.
I didn't think it would turn out like this. In fact, I was kind of frustrated when I was doing the live loop. I was trying to figure out some ideas, and then it seems like I always get to a point where, like in the morning, late morning, I'm like, oh man, I have no ideas left, or I've no ideas. Or I can't finish this idea, and then I kind of shift gears, take a break, and then something always happens, and I stop trying so hard, and something pops out. And I have certain techniques where I change keys. Man, changing keys, putting a capo on my guitar will dramatically just change the sound and get fresh ideas. So that's a cool trick I use. It helps a lot for myself. But let's take a look at um, at this track. So let's kind of, so I started with, initially I was going to start with steel string acoustic guitar, but I wanted, so there was a moment in one of the Harry Potter movies where I think it was maybe the fourth one or the third one, where Harry was on the bridge or something like that, and there was this kind of this flute theme, and he was talking to Dumbledore, and there was the, I mean, was it John Williams? I don't think John Williams was doing the music to that, but the music was so beautiful, and I think there was a harp and a flute, and I really liked that vibe. It was such a like a comforting but melancholic and very real feeling. And I wanted to kind of capture a little bit of that. And I thought, the a steel string is a little bit more harsh in some ways. And the classical with ukulele, we have plastic strings. So you kind of have that very soothing sound happening. So let me just solo these two. You know what I mean? It just has this calming effect. So I really like that. And, you need to kind of, you need to kind of pay attention to what the song needs. And for me, the song just needed a mellow, a lighter, comforting touch. And I really found that worked well. Next, we have the flute. So what I used was my modular flute here. And that sounds like this. We got to change that. And then I used an ocarina. I'll show you what that looks like. Sorry, I had my fan on. I feel like it's gonna be too noisy. Anyway, so that's an ocarina. This is such a cool instrument and not really widely known, but it has also this calming effect. I got to get all my fingers on this. It's so beautiful. I need to learn the notes a little bit better, but they're also not that complicated to play. And to put it in a track, it's so easy. So let me show you the ocarina. So cool with a little reverb. Just feels like you're in the forest. Moving on, we're gonna go to my vocals. I'm not gonna solo that. I'm just gonna play it, but I'll show you what I did, the treatment I did on my vocals. Maybe I should solo a little bit.
The wind calls me softly, breathing where my heart had been.
So I put some compression on it, and there was, around 167 hertz, 170 hertz. There was too much bass in my voice, and it just didn't work well in the mix. So I had to take that out a little bit. I still feel like there's a little bit too much, but I think it's okay for now. And then here are my two harmonies. On one of them, I did use, or did I do it on both of them? No, I think on just one of them, I used the auto tune in Logic. I don't really like the flex pitch, it's called. I don't really like the sound. It really degrades the sound quality. I noticed this time, I didn't notice before, but I noticed this time, especially on lead vocals, I tried to use Logic's flex pitch and it really degraded my vocals. So I didn't use it. I used auto tune on my main vocals. So those are the vocals. Yeah, here we go. The chorus. Here are my vocals in the chorus.
Call away through the old willow trees, cross the rivers where my dreams are kept.
There was a little distortion in the beginning there. I have to fix that. I think it was a little bit too much in the beginning. But again, just some compression. And I took out a lot of the, like kind of sub 200s. Because again, a bassier vocals, and then you have bass in the track, it gets so muddy and it's really hard to mix and it doesn't sound good. So then we have, oh yeah, so the ramp ups, I have these timpani rolls. And then I have these subtails. What I'm using for the subtails are Iser X. These are great. They're so useful. And then these timpani rolls, it's a plugin called Pandora. And so really useful, really great. And then for the strings, I used another instrument. Oh yeah, so these are Synastrings solo strings. I think as far as sampled solo strings goes, these are the best. Well, there might be something new out there, but I haven't found anything better than this. And then I used Altiverb for the room sound. So without the room sound, it sounds like this. Kind of that effect that's deep in a room. I used a little bit too much modulation here, so I want to kind of maybe change it to something like this. Because it already has a built-in, when you change the notes, it already has built-in swells. So, and that's the thing, you got to program the MIDI strings just right. Let's see if that makes a difference. Yeah, that's better. So those are the strings in the beginning, and that sounds like this together. Sounds pretty good back in a mix. When you hear them solo, it's kind of okay, but if you have a solo string quartet or solo strings that you want to have in your track and you really want them to be naked with something else, just try and find a real player. It's almost always going to be so much better than samples, but this is what I have so far. I will definitely get some real players once once I can get kind of a full release going. And want to support live players. Here's a hand drum. We have the Valhalla vintage reverb on that one with pretty high pre-delay. And then, oh yeah, so here are my shakers all together. I kind of wanted that loose sound to kind of really put that human element in there. If it's too quantized, too much on the beat, then it sounds fake. One time I was recording a full orchestra. This was at Abbey Road. So a lot of them were from the London Symphonic Philharmonic. And the first take was so good that it sounded fake. We're like, well, you need to loosen it up a little bit. Which is like, I've never experienced that before. Those players are from different planets. The bass player, by the way, was Hans Zimmer's principal bass player. She was amazing. And then I had like a little shaker here. But I wanted that little tinkle in the background. It's kind of cool so listen to it with the track.
Sit and listen and wonder of a time that's...
Yeah, it just adds another element in there. And then, so I started with the rainforest sound. I just love that. It creates this cool atmosphere in the beginning. It's like just sets the tone right away. And then later on in the final chorus, I have a more hand drums. Oh, here are the strings for the final chorus. So yeah, sounds pretty good. These are appassionata strings. They are from a Spitfire audio library. I'm not endorsed by them, but as far as like legato strings, my favorites are East-West Hollywood strings. They have the best legato. Spitfire Appassionata strings are really great. And then the Hans Zimmer strings from Spitfire also have a really good legato. There are tons of string libraries out there. Some are better at the legato than others. It's so difficult to get that right. And then, oh yeah, then I have my piano. It's a little bit overcompressed, I gotta admit, but I wanted a little bit more highs because my piano it's an old one from 1939, and so it's a little bit more mellow, but great for this track. So yeah, little overcompressed piano. I'll fix that in the mix a little bit later. And then the flute, an ocarina you heard. And then the last thing, I think that's the last, yeah, it's the last thing is this, my UDO synthesizer. This synthesizer, man, is, oh, it's so butter. It's so amazing. I love it. It's so great. But listen to it in the track.
All the way through the old Cross the rivers where my dreams are kept, where I can remember
Listen to it without.
no trees. Cross the rivers where my dreams are kept, where I can remember me, where I can remember. Call away.
Yeah, it just adds this lift, this bass, this really lifts everything up. And the key thing is just blending and mixing everything just right. So you don't have anything fighting each other. If you have one bass, that's the bass. Don't have multiple basses. That's gonna kill your mix. That's why I always take out the bass. So with the classical guitar, here I'm taking the bass out because my synthesizer is taking care of the bass. If I have all the bass in the classical guitar and all the bass in my vocals and the bass in my synthesizer, it just all gets so muddy and very difficult to mix. And yeah, the bass is just, it's so tricky sometimes. So you got to be really careful not to overload the bass. Free tip. This one's a great track. I love this track. I want to keep working on it and do a little bit more, but it's pretty much there, I think. I want to get that live violin or cello player, both. And yeah. And then we'll see where it goes from there. So these tracks are also a moment in time for me. I don't want to come back in 6 months and change a whole bunch of stuff. This is like a painting for me. Like if you go to a painter and they paint a picture, they're not going to go back 2 months later, or a year later, and then change the picture. That's not the point. And same thing with this, live looping and turning those into production tracks. These are a moment in time, and whether they're good or not so good, it's not the point. It's me writing kind of my stream of consciousness in a way. But so hope you enjoyed that. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, drop a comment below. Love to know your thoughts, and I'll see you on the next one.